first, we talk about the police officer who rammed an escaped cow. Should he be sacked? 0207 862 2222. The officer was yesterday removed from frontline duties pending investigations following a real outcry over the incident in Feltham. And we will show you video of it now. The police car twice driving into the cow. The cow is recovering well. It did end up with a cut on its leg. We gather no brain damage, but you may not want to see the footage. Well, so then there's a little bit more of it because the police officer then gets out the car, orders a member of the public away. The owner of the cow, which is only 10 months old, it's called Beau Lucy, described the incident as horrific. His partner has called for the officer to be sacked. What do you think, Angela?
I think first of all, I believe in the presumption of innocence, and he's been suspended pending investigation, and I think that's the right course of action. But if he is found to have been using that kind of wanton violence, then yes, maybe there is a cause for that. But look, I mean, the thing is, he rammed into the cow twice, and that's the bit where I'm troubled by this police officer. Because, OK, once, it wasn't like the cow was going nuts and there were people on the street. No. It was late. It wasn't like there were loads of school children there. And, OK, maybe it was a gut reaction, but he backed up and he did it again. So that's the difference between manslaughter and malice aforethought, in my view. You know, there is some kind of...
The second one is what?
Is the premeditated. That's the premeditated one. And I think that was absolutely bang out of order. Look, he is being investigated.
Literally.
But, yes, it is. But you know, I can't bear animal cruelty. I want the public to be safe. But I think on this occasion, you know, it just seemed to be a disproportionate amount of force.
I can show you Beau Lucy back on her farm. It's actually, funny enough, it's here in this paper, so the Sun have got a picture, which is good. Surrey Police say the car was used due to extreme concern for the public's safety after many hours of trying to safely recapture the cow and reports of it running at people. The force has started an internal investigation and referred itself to the police watchdog. But there was a huge backlash, and I can show you some of the tweets. So, for example, after this was first aired, I saw it online, but I saw it on Instagram. I then tweeted it on Twitter, knowing nothing about it, and as everyone piles in. James Cleverly, I can think of no reasonable need for this action. He's the Home Secretary, remember. I've asked for a full, urgent explanation. It seems to be unnecessarily heavy-handed. Then we got Gabby Logan here, sports presenter. What kind of human thinks this is a reasonable response? What is wrong with people? We're nothing without nature. Surely a sackable offence. Do they do this to dogs? Do they do it to people they don't like? Chris Packham next. Packham, who I think is president of the RSPCA. I don't know where to start with this. Surely illegal, must be investigated and prosecuted. What sort of monster rams a calf twice? I think that's it. Oh, Clarkson, I will vote for any party which stops the police from running over cows. I mean, we mustn't laugh because it's at the centre of it is somebody hitting an animal, but if this is the election campaign, it's gone even crazier than we thought.
It has. I think it's been blown out of all proportion, Jeremy.
Do you?
I absolutely. When I saw that video, I thought the same as everybody else. Horrible to watch, really distressing. Then you look at the facts of this. What the police say is they tried over a number of hours to find other ways, more humane ways, to stop this cow, that it was running down busy roads, risking causing a massive car accident, that it was charging towards people. They tried to find another way to stop it. They couldn't. They tried to contact vets. They couldn't. So they're left with that. Now, if that car had caused a major pile-up on a motorway, if that car had rammed into a pensioner or a child and they died, we'd be sitting here today saying, why on earth didn't the police stop it? They did stop it because they thought it was a threat to public safety. You know, Gabby Logan there saying, would they do the same if it was a dog? If a dog was going around mauling people, then yes, horrible as it might be, the police shoot it. And nobody...
Actually, that is an interesting point of view. I mean, somebody tweeted me yesterday, if that cow had been loose on the M3, you would have wanted it dealt with. I'm thinking, well, yeah, but it wasn't. You know, if it had been loose in Buckingham Palace, I would have wanted it dealt with.
If it was on the M3, you're going to cause more problems by ramming into it because it's spattered everywhere and you'd have caused a pile-up. Why didn't they have some kind of tranquiliser or something?
Or a net?
It's a Saturday
what
night.
Happened to lassoing animals?
9 p.m. on a Saturday night in States.
So therefore,
where are they meant to get a tranquiliser?
So how much of a material threat is it on a Saturday night?
Because it was running down busy roads. They tried to contact vets, presumably to get a tranquiliser. They couldn't. What are they meant to do?
Why did he do it twice?
Well, feed.
To try to... It was...
It was down
to
after
try
the
to
first
kill
one.
it. There's no doubt what they're trying to do. They're trying to take it out because they think it's a threat.
Is
to
that
life.
a humane way to take it out?
Interesting. Yeah,
Could
you not have been? If you're thinking creatively, you use a horse box and you lure it with food.
They say they spent hours trying to do things like
Taser
that and couldn't.
Yeah, the
Okay.
taser. The taser.
Well, a
could've
taser
tasered.
apparently doesn't work on a cow. Ian in Inverness, hello.
Hello. How do you
Do you think the police
Sorry,
officer who seems to, just ram the cow for sport should be fired?
Well, it's obviously lack of training from whoever's telling him what to do. If somebody did tell him what to do, if he's acting of his own back, then he needs to be spoken to. I don't know if he's a gung-ho police officer who just acts off the cuff. But the one thing you do with sheep or beasts or whatever is you don't get excited. You calm the beast down. You don't shriek. You don't flash your lights. You just calm the beast down and it'll calm down.
Yeah.
And he didn't do any of it. From what I can gather, they didn't do any of that.
How would you have dealt with it? Because we've spoken about a net, a lasso, lure it into a horse box. What would you have done?
But first of all, I would block off the road at both ends, get people in their houses, and just walk towards the beast and speak to. I'm surrounded by beasts and sheep on the Black Isle. If you excite them, they're going to get excited.
Yep.
If you speak to them and calm them down, they will calm down.
This is where the wiser voice, Ian's voice, comes from a rural setting. Unfortunately, Ian, we were dealing with inner city cops, and they don't have escaped farm animals.
Yes.
Very often.
But I think Ian also makes a very important point, which is it plays to the personality of the copper. Because if he, to use your phrase, Ian, gung-ho, if he's going to be gung-ho with a rampaging calf, then what happens on a dark night when you've got a bunch of drunks and he's got, whatever, he has to... and it's an impossible job being the police. I understand all that.
But he might... I said for sport, but we don't... He might have been horrified. He might be acting under orders.
Yes. So we don't know enough.
We want to be fair
don't
to
know
him.
enough.
Thanks, Ian. Jack in Cheshire, what do you think? Would you fire this officer?
Well, I think everything that Ian from Inverness has just said is right. And is what they maybe could have done is if they could have found someone in the neighbourhood with, let's say, a non-manicured front garden, is ask them if they could contain this young animal in their garden.
Because we've got a whole list of a non-manicured front garden, yeah? And you lure the cow into it.
This animal, looking at proportions, is only between 12 and about 16 months old. She's probably only about 14 months old.
10 months, yeah.
And it must have been very frightening. But not only should the police officer ram in a live animal, deliberately ram in her with his car, and I saw it, the car ram her twice, should be prosecuted. So should the farmer for allowing the animal to be running loose in the first place.
Well,
they do.
At the end of the day, a friend of mine soon learned that animals can break free. They do sometimes break fences, or if the fences are storm damaged, they can get into people's, gardens of residential properties.
Yep.
These things, they do happen.
Okay, fair enough, Jack. Thank you very much. Thank you. So let's have some more calls on the cow and whether the police, which is almost an election issue. It's one of those ones where suddenly everyone's thinking, we can't live in a country where you ram a cow with a car. The police officer who's involved has been removed from frontline duty pending investigations. I think we can look again at the clip. So, warning, obviously, this can be a bit distressing if you love animals, which we all do. Thing. The person who was laughing, I think, didn't realise the seriousness of what was happening. So they laugh at the start because the police are there, and then suddenly they're as shocked as anybody. Mary in London, are you shocked by that?
Yes, I am. I am shocked about that. I'm an animal lover, and I'm a vegan because I respect all life. And I just think that it's just appalling. I get the impression. I assume it was a policeman. I get the impression that some people think that they can, if that was a human being, he would love to have done that then. But we probably thought he couldn't get away with that, but he could get away with getting that aggression and meanness out of his system by doing it to an animal. I just think it's rotten. He should be sacked, definitely.
Ben, you don't agree? You think
No,
that's
I
fair?
think he's been thrown under the bus. I doubt he did it acting off his own judgment. I'm sure it was a discussion that was had. The cow's been hit by a car. He's been thrown under the bus. And fair play to Mary. Mary is a vegan. Mary's at least consistent in this. Isn't there a bit of hypocrisy? Lots of us enjoyed a beef roast yesterday.
Yeah.
I like tucking into a steak as much as anybody. But if you eat beef while sitting there lamenting the fate of this poor cow, if you want to talk about animal cruelty, look at what the meat industry does to these animals. It's a lot worse than a cut on a leg.
If it says, if I go to a restaurant and it says Sunday lunch, your beef is from a cow that's been rammed by a police car, I'm not eating it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What, rather than being shot in the head and having its throat slit?
Humanely dispatched is the phrase you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Look at some of the documentaries that have been made about how some of the cows in the meat industry are treated. I'm not a vegetarian, I eat meat. But it's appalling. It's far worse than that, clearly.
Mary, what about that? That all he's done, this officer, is do what we all do every time we eat meat.
Yeah, well, I think even meat eaters would expect. Even meat eaters, I would think, would be appalled at that because
I do eat meat sometimes, and I was truly shocked by it. I just didn't expect, apart from anything else, to get police out for a crime.
Yeah, I think a lot of meat eaters wouldn't agree with wanton violence like that.
Well, I hope not.
No, I think Mary's hit the nail on the head, and I think you're scraping the bottom of the barrel by bringing in the kind of the whole veggie argument, because nobody wants an animal to suffer. I would have thought, if you're a civilized human being, we're part of the food chain. Meat is part of our diet. Some people elect to choose it and eat it, and some don't. The police officer came at speed, not once but twice. If he'd inched up to the cow to sort of, hustle it along and then try and get it into a compromised position, then fine. It was the way he kind of did that Rambo, it was an escalator.
But I think he wanted to knock it out.
They were trying to take it out. It had been charging at people in the street and risking a traffic accident.
But the idea that on this overpopulated world, if an animal runs at a human being, it deserves to die. Look, we've got something odd going on in our minds here, haven't we?
Put it this way, do we really think that officer was acting out of wanting to just harm a cow for the fun of it? Or do we think, rightly or wrongly, at the forefront of his or her mind, was preventing an accident?
What do you think, Angela?
Protecting public safety.
That's
about public
why,
safety.
rather than taking such an extreme view, Ben, respectfully, I would say that it is, because he's been suspended pending an investigation, and we need to know, as I said a moment ago.
What was in his mind?
Is it gung-ho, or was it he was thinking, this is an unprecedented situation? I've never dealt with a cow before.
Mary, thank you in London. Peter's in London as well. Peter, what do you, as a Londoner, I guess you could appreciate a cow in a city is potentially dangerous.
Sure, but I think the police officer was incompetent. He probably couldn't drive properly. He hadn't got full control of the vehicle. He should be retrained and then given a police test. Well,
if he was told to ram the cow, he certainly rammed it successfully.
I think he was trying to corral it.
Well, in that case...
I don't think he intended to ram it.
Well, that's terrible then, isn't it? I mean, why can't they just get two police vans and bring them slowly together and sort of squeeze it?
Well, they're very good at that when they want to get a motorcyclist or a cyclist.
Don't kick me off. I know what you're doing.
Alert.
Gary in Cardiff, hi.
Hello.
What did you think when you saw this film, Gary?
Well, to start with, if you or I or any other public member of staff had done that, the RSPCA would have been jumping up and down, ranting and raving, and then looking for prosecutions and getting all the video evidence.
Well, they may yet. But that's exactly what their job is.
But they don't do it. If it's the police, they back off, right? But the fact that the officer would have had permission from somebody to ram this cow, there was no need for him to ram it. It wasn't a cow, it was a calf.
Good point.
It's not a cow until it's at least 12 months old.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It looked big. I thought if it's big, you can call it a cow. If it's a calf, it's just been born.
Not even 12 months old. It's 10 months old.
Right. So it's not a cow.
It was not charging anybody.
No.
Right?
It was.
It had charged before the camera started rolling.
Police say it was charging towards people, which was a big part of their
I think that doesn't sound right to me. Go on, Gary.
Sorry. As I have farmed, right, if you go out into a field, you can call the cattle. 9 times out of 10, they will come running up to you and they won't charge you. They run up to see you. They are the most nosiest animals on the planet, right? And the police officer speeded up to hit him. Hit it once was bad enough. Then to try and run it over a second time when it was on the floor, it was wrong. If you'd have just got a couple of people, it would have just stood still. Why haven't they rang a farmer? There must have been a local farmer.
Or someone who specialises in whistling or something to attract it, you know.
No. It was not a danger to the public. If they'd have hurled it into a garden, into a confined space, or corralled it into somewhere, right, it would have chilled out.
Okay, Gary, thanks. You've got loads of calls. Let me just take another. Dave in Kent, hello. Do you think the police were wrong?
Oh, yeah. First of all, thanks for showing the full clip. We only saw snippets last night on the TV news. Look, I've been a vegan for 45 years and a vegetarian for 20 years before that. So there is a little bit of hypocrisy going on here, because that cow, or that calf rather, is going to end up in an abattoir and end up on someone's plate.
It might be a dairy farm. I don't know. But Angela says that's different.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's not different.
Well, it's not being rammed. You know, that's not how abattoirs work, Dave. They've not got a series of cars ramming animals.
And you know, you can't use your you know, I respect you for wanting to be a vegetarian or a vegan, but you can't use that as your get out of jail card to say, well, you know, if there is a wild horse or something, you know, really, really threatening the members of the public, well, you can't do anything because we eat animals anyway. You're conflating a potential criminal offence, which is under investigation, and somebody's dietary choices.
Can I speak?
Yes, you can.
I'm not trying to get out of it. I'm just comparing the cruelty. That was a very cruel act last night we saw. That calf was not a Spanish fighting bull charging at everyone. It could have been easily contained by the people on the streets themselves.
I agree. I think most of us would, even if we were told to ram a calf, we would say, I'm not going to do it. We don't have it in us. And what worries me is you've got a police officer there who is able to ram a calf.
Unless he has, you know, it's a Starsky and Hutch situation. He's got his partner next to him going, go for it. We don't know what way.
I don't know.
It depends on if a cow is about to run onto the M1, and I can ram it and prevent a 20 vehicle pile up, I'd do it. If that cow is about to charge into a toddler and kill them,
but that's all those ifs we keep getting. If it was loose on the M3. Thank you, Dave. Sarah in Essex, do you think the police officer should be fired?
Yes, absolutely. He should be fired. And I may also say he has not been suspended. He's just been removed from frontline duties. So they
taken
have
away
not
from
even
driving.
had the decency. Yeah. But I grew up near Whipps Cross and we had cows roaming from the forest. There was never any problem. One time there was 3 cows in my front garden. I just walked out. They were grazing on the grass. They're not dangerous or violent animals. It's just horrific what has happened. And poor Beau Lucy, I mean, she could die from post-traumatic stress disorder shock. We don't know if she's got internal injuries.
I wonder if she's got a head injury. Yeah, I agree. I think this idea she's just got a scratch on her leg, I don't believe it. She was in a car accident.
Yeah, with a big hunk of metal.
OK, well, listen, thank you for all your calls on that.